Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Henry Hudson Hour. I want to start by saying thank you for being here, and also a quick apology. This episode is coming out a bit later than usual because my scheduled guest had to cancel at the last minute. Unfortunately, it was too late to line up someone else in time, so I'm rolling solo today. I appreciate your patience and understanding, and rather than skip the week, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to do something a little different. Just me talking through a few topics that have been on my mind lately. Hopefully it still feels like a worthwhile listen even without a guest. So let's get into it. I just want to tell you a little bit more about who I am. So I am a 7th generation Austinite. My family has been in Austin since the early 1800s, which is something I'm really proud of. Austin has changed a lot over the years, probably more than most cities, and I've grown up hearing stories from my family about what it used to be like compared to now. And then I've also experienced my own version of that change firsthand. Something is interesting about being rooted in a place for that long. It gives you a different perspective. You notice the small things, how neighborhoods change, how the culture shifts, how certain parts of the city feel completely different, even compared to just a few years ago. And at the same time, Austin still has that core identity. Keep Austin weird, for example, one of our slogans that keeps people here. There's a reason people move here, and there's a reason families like mine stay here generation after generation. I feel right now I'm balancing a couple different things in my life. I work running a liquor store, which in itself is pretty interesting to experience. You meet all kinds of people, regulars, people just passing through, people celebrating something, people winding down after a long day. It's one of those jobs where you really get a cross-section of everyday life. And you also start to notice patterns, what people buy, when they come in, how their mood shifts depending on the day of the week. Weekends are obviously busier, but even weekdays have their own rhythm to them. It's just one of those jobs that teaches you a lot about people without you even realizing it at first. And tonight at work, I just got off. It's like 10:30 at night. So all the liquor laws in Texas are very strict. And all the liquor stores in Texas are only allowed to be open from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday, closed Sunday. So every single liquor store in the entire state opens at 10 and closes at 9 and is closed on Sunday. And I generally get off work between 9 and 10 at night. Obviously, I have to stay there for a while after the store closes to do reconciliation. You got to close down all the drawers, the cash drawers, the registers. And it's just a little bit of paperwork that you have to do before you can go home. But I'm a night owl, so that's fine with me. And I only work closing hours. I never open because I don't do mornings. I refuse to do mornings. I like to stay up late. I will not wake up early. I mean, I have to wake up early tomorrow, unfortunately, because I have a meeting at 10. But generally, I try to stay away from the morning. The morning is when I sleep. The afternoon and the evening is when I work, and nighttime is my time. That's what I always like to tell people. It's just when I thrive. It's when I have the most energy. It's when I feel good. And that's just the way that I've always been. And my mother was the same way. We're both just night owls. I don't know how else to put it. And I've looked into the genetics of it, and there's actually a genetic connection to it. Like, apparently some people are just wired that way. Like, they're wired to be up late at night. And some people aren't. And I got a genetic test, one of those gene tests done, And it actually showed in my genes that I'm a night person. And I think it's a genetic trait that we inherited from our early ancestors because there had to be someone up at night to watch over everyone, to keep them safe. So it's kind of interesting, but it's a real thing. It's a real genetic trait. It's not just a choice. And I wish that people realize that, because people who wake up early in the morning act like it's so apparent. And I'm like, get over it. So at the same time, I'm also a full time student online at Arizona State University. I'm studying mass communications and media studies with a minor in geography. And I think those two things actually connect more than people might expect. Mass communications is really about understanding how information moves, how stories are told, how media shapes perception, how people engage with content, and obviously doing a podcast, it fits right into that. And I actually launched this podcast after I took a course in podcasting. Then geography adds another layer to it, understanding places, how people interact with their environment, how regions develop and change over time, which honestly ties back into growing up in Austin and seeing that evolution happen in real time. So even though those sound like two different areas of study, they actually overlap in a lot of ways when you start thinking about it. And I'm just really, really good at geography. It's my best subject. It always has been. It's ironic that I'm named Henry Hudson after the English explorer Henry Hudson, because I am so good at geography. It's my best subject by far. I'm a great writer, I'm a great talker, I'm great at communicating, but I'm also so good at geography. I'm so good at it. Like, I can identify any flag of the world, of any country. Like, if you show me a flag, I know what country it is, of any country in the world. I have them all memorized. I used to know capitals, but I'm not as good with that anymore. I'm better with cultural geography than physical geography, but right now I'm really interested in meteorology. So I'm taking like my third or fourth meteorology class right now, and I'm already scheduled to take a fifth one in the fall next year. So I love the weather. I'm obsessed with the weather. And speaking of environment and the weather, let's just talk about the weather for a second. It has been raining here in Austin for 24 hours straight now, if not more, and maybe even longer. A big thunderstorm just passed through. I think it's sprinkling now out there. You might hear a rumble of thunder here or there, to be honest. And it's it's been raining and raining and raining, which is great because we desperately need the rain here. We've been in a terrible drought. Our rain deficit is 24 inches, and we only get an average of 36 inches of rain per year here. So that's like 2 feet of rain that we need to end the drought, and that's almost all the rain that we get in an entire year. Lately, it feels like the weather has been doing its own thing as it usually does around here. One day it feels like it's settling into a pattern, and then the next day it completely flips. It was hot as hell here in March, and I understand that the entire lower 48 experienced an incredibly above average March. And it's funny how much the weather actually affects your day to day life. It changes your mood, your energy, and even your plans without you really even thinking about it. There are days where everything just feels easier when the weather is right, and then there are days where it kind of throws everything off. And this past weekend here has actually been quite cold and chilly. So it's not just rainy and stormy, it's also cold outside, which I also enjoy. Ironically, I hate the heat, even though I think I hate the heat because I live in Texas. I feel like if I live somewhere cold, I might hate the cold. I'm not really sure how that works. I think it's also genetic, to be honest. But I am so much better in cold weather than the heat. The cold just feels so good to me. Like, even when it's below freezing, I can walk outside and I just feel like, oh, it feels so good. And when it's hot, I want to kill myself. I think, especially in a place like Austin, where it can shift pretty quickly, you start to just roll with it and you almost expect the unexpected when it comes to weather. So, this past weekend, it was actually a lot for me. It wasn't quiet at all, even though I had Saturday off, which is crazy because since I ever started running the liquor store, I've only had 2 or 3 Saturdays off total in the past several years, which really sucks. But I spent most of it working on my late mother's estate sale, and that's something I don't think you can really prepare yourself for. It's not just about organizing things or getting them through a checklist. It's going through pieces of someone's life, one item at a time, and realizing how much each thing meant to you at one point. There were moments where it felt overwhelming, honestly. You pick something up and it brings back a memory you weren't expecting, or reminds you of a version of life that doesn't exist anymore. And at the same time, you still have to keep moving, making decisions, and staying practical. It's a strange mix, being busy and focused, but also emotional underneath it all. But I think there's something important in that process too. It forces you to reflect, to remember, and to appreciate what was there. Even though it's not easy, it felt like something meaningful that I needed to go through. So, yeah, it was a heavy weekend, but also one that stuck with me. And the sale went pretty smoothly most of the time. My family owns a ranch, and we had the sale on the ranch because I've been storing my mother's belongings there. And that was kind of a mess because it's private property and we don't want a lot of strangers there, and of course hundreds of people showed up, which was overwhelming at best and a little upsetting at worst. It was okay. We had a little drama. There was a few incidents. There was one in particular where a woman came in and we had an attendant at the gate because clearly on a ranch, there's roads with no street signs. So you have to give people instructions on where to go when they enter. Otherwise, how are they going to know where to go or how to get there? And she wouldn't roll down her window, and she refused to roll down her window, and the gate attendant called me and said, what should I do? And I said, turn her away. And then eventually she relented. She cracks open her window just a tiny bit and talks to the guy and is like, I don't feel comfortable talking to strange men. You're very threatening. Blah, 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 blah. Then I said, okay, fine. She got the instructions, let her in. So they let her in, and then she complains to the people running the estate sale about the gate attendant and goes on this big long tirade and rant about it. And then they come up to me and start screaming at me and bitching me out about it. And my cousin heard them and he ran over and defended me. Thank God, because I just wasn't in the mood to fight. I was like, I'm a Scorpio, so I'm a fighter for real. But that's another thing about me is such a Scorpio, and I truly love astrology. I have had a personal astrologer that I've worked with for about 9 years, and her name is Amy Tripp. And you can follow her at Starheal, Starheal, on all the socials. She's on X, she's on Instagram, she's on TikTok. She is so freaking accurate, and I get a reading from her about once a year ish. And I've been seeing her for years and years. And she is so freaking accurate. It's terrifying. But I have 5 planets in Scorpio. So I am like a super, super, super Scorpio. And the good thing about it is I'm a little balanced because my moon is in Taurus, and Taurus is the opposite sign of Scorpio. It's the polar opposite of Scorpio. And then I have Sagittarius rising. And your rising or ascendant sign is kind of like the person that you present yourself to be to the rest of the world. And Sagittarius is kind of known as being a fun-loving party animal with a lot of energy. But I love astrology. I'll probably do a whole episode on it eventually. It's something that I just think is so fun. I just think it's fun. And I'm also practiced Kabbalah. I've practiced Kabbalah for about 15 years now. I take courses through the Kabbalah Center. There's also another organization that I follow loosely. And Kabbalah, for those of you who don't know, it's a mystical sect of Judaism. It's more like a philosophy than a religion. It's too hard to explain right now. I can't get through explaining it to you, but you can look it up. I suggest you do. You can just go, I think, to www.kabbalah.com. However, I do think maybe now it's all behind a paywall because they changed it. I don't know. It's confusing how they changed their website now. It used to be different, but it's very interesting, fascinating, really. It's based on a holy book called the Zohar that's 5,000 years old. And it's commentary on the 5 books of Moses, or the Torah, as they call it. And it's fascinating. It's really about human behavior and how you behave. And it also incorporates other different elements, such as astrology, into it, because the astrological calendar is a lunar calendar, and so is the Jewish calendar. So all of the Jewish holidays align with like when the new moon is, or the beginning of each month. I'm sorry, that's not right. But the beginning of each month in the Jewish calendar is the new moon. So the beginning of each month in the astrological calendar is also the new moon. And it kind of aligns perfectly. It's really weird how that works. It's really interesting. And the best thing that happened during the estate sale was that the woman who was running it, she went through the drawers of all the furniture and she found some really fabulous, fabulous pictures, photographs of my grandfather, my mother's father, who passed away quite young from complications due to alcoholism when I was around 4 or 5, I think. And I don't really remember him, but he did live with my mother and I and my sister when we were children. and for a while, maybe a year or so. I'm not really sure. I'd have to ask my sister for more details because I don't remember it. But he looks very similar to me, and I'm gonna post a photo, one of the photos that I got of him on Instagram, our Instagram at Henry Hudson Hour, because it's so excellent. It's an incredible picture, and I feel so blessed to have it, and I'm so happy that I do. I appreciate you sticking with me on this one, especially with the delay. It really does mean a lot. If you're new here, welcome. And now you know a little bit more about who I am and what I'm about and what I do. I'm very, very busy. I work and go to school. I don't know why I started a podcast because I have hardly any time for it. And if you've been listening for a while, thank you for continuing to tune in. And hopefully I can have my sister on again soon so we can discuss the estate sale at more greater detail and length. If you want to reach out, you can find the show on Instagram at Henry Hudson Hour or send me an email at henryhudsonhour@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. And a quick shout out. The music in this episode was done by John Bartman. I'll catch you in the next episode of the Henry Hudson Hour. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, y'all.